Hello and welcome to Fireside Chats at the Influencer Series conducted by the Alchemist Accelerator. These are timely chats with tech leaders about what's on their mind. Let's get into it. We're so thrilled to have Manjeet Singh here at the Influencer Series. Manjeet, thank you for participating. Manjeet, you are a rarity in Silicon Valley, and there's few people that know the enterprise AI space as well as you. I say a rarity because you spent 7 years at ServiceNow, which is a rarity to spend that much time in Silicon Valley so deep. And you ended that time as the head of AI products for ServiceNow. And then for the last year, you've just joined Salesforce. Yep. And you're the head of enterprise AI now at Salesforce and the head of Einstein AI. Actually Einsight. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I think that's fine. Yeah. So thanks for having me, Ravi. No, that's right. I've been, I would say, fortunate enough to work in kind of B2B SaaS and AI space. And then how do you bring this AI intelligence into these, the different workflows, IT workflow, customer workflow. So did that at ServiceNow for 7 years in kind of different capacity. Not just kind of building those solutions from 0 to 1, but also how do we scale them from 1 to 100, 100 to 1,000. So, and I think the understood the dynamics of this enterprise kind of go-to-market nuances, and then I'm doing the same at Salesforce now. I think we have these two marketing brands. One is the Einstein AI. So think of that as all the predictive AI and all the AI models. And then for this Gen AI and agents, we have now new platform we call Agentforce.
Okay, so that's the difference between Einstein and Agentforce. And so today at the Influencer Series, what perspective were you going to share?
Yeah, so I think the one thing that I'm seeing is everybody's building out demos very, very quickly. I call them fleshy demo. So thesis I have is why people are struggling to move from fleshy demo to releasing into production. So that's kind of my thesis, a lot of observations and learning across our customer base, and then also, some advice on how can we solve that.
So can I invite you to expound now on that? So give us the details. What is preventing people from doing that, and what's the advice?
Yeah, so I think if you see, since ChatGPT came out, everybody who tried it, there was like, okay, wow, this I can do so many things. I can ask so many type of questions with it. And then in the enterprise space, people started thinking about where can I apply it, for different job roles and functions. Like, hey, I'm in, let's say, software development team. How can I use to write faster code, as an example? Or how can I apply it into sales and marketing? And that's where we have seen a lot of kind of use cases came in. And the good thing about this, I think this new wave of AI, LLMs and generative Gen AI models is if you can craft good prompts, you can validate your ideas very, very quickly. And that's what I call it, like you build out your POC. You don't have to have a big data science team. So that gives a level field to a lot of companies. Otherwise, companies which has big data science team, they had the kind of advantage and leverage. But now what? Okay, I showed the demo. I created excitements into my team, and my leadership and CEO is saying, okay, let's go it, because board is also asking about, hey, what are we doing about AI? But then that's where I would say rubber hits the road, because the challenges you might see is the system is non-deterministic. The challenges around, hey, will this hallucinate me? How can I ground this into my enterprise data? Specifically, if I'm a finance customer or kind of in the legal domain, and then I better make sure these systems are accurate, because otherwise I'm opening myself for a lawsuit. And then these systems can generate bias responses. So I think it opens up this non-deterministic nature, open up so many challenges, and then everybody's taking a back sheet, and all these POCs in the demo that were built a year ago, they are still stuck at not feeling comfortable to turn that on into production.
No, understood. Yeah. And so, with every challenge, there's an opportunity.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious to hear how would you respond to that as an entrepreneur? Is there an opportunity that you think is an entrepreneurial opportunity, and I know you have advice, right. Or is it more something for incumbent companies that are building these technologies to solve on their own, or do you think it's going to come from another solution like the platform providers will secularly solve it over time?
Yeah,
So
no,
I'm curious, yeah.
that's a great question. I see it opportunity for both,
Okay.
right? All the incumbent players like Salesforce, as well as startups. Because see, this is a new way of building your workflows, building your automation. So which means that, hey, what tool chain do we need? How do we build them? How do we test and evaluate them? How do we monitor them when they are running into production? And then how do we create this feedback loop so you continue to improve? So I think that's where you see a lot of interesting startup in. One is if you look into kind of the I call it a kind of a your layered cake,
Mm-hmm.
keeping the infrastructure and then model layer aside.
Mm-hmm.
What are the opportunities at the when you're building applications, building these conversational co-pilot and agent,
Mm-hmm.
and then all the monitoring, observability, and then kind of the continuous improvement loop on the top.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So there's some, I think, interesting startup that I've seen in each of the layers, and they are pretty high valued now for this obvious reason, because this is a new space, and then how do you provide this kind of end-to-end DevOps lifecycle for them?
And are there certain startups that you're particularly excited about that you want to plug, or that you want, and a reason why you love those? When you're thinking about that thesis of filling in these different layers.
Yeah, so I think one particular is that everybody should be thinking about and need from the day one is how do you eval these systems?
Mm-hmm.
So I think and that applies to everybody.
Yeah.
So I think that goes to my kind of one advice also. If you're building these systems, the first question, even starting from if you're writing requirement, is like, what's the the accuracy level for the system which is acceptable, and when I feel ready to launch, right?
Mm-hmm.
And many people didn't thought about that. And
Mm-hmm.
then there's like, okay, I'm asking these questions 2 times and it's giving me different responses.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where they don't feel comfortable. So I think there's some interesting startup in this space who are building, eval solutions. I can name some startup like Brain Trust is one of
Mm-hmm.
them.
Mm-hmm.
Arise was doing it for previous machine learning models. They also evolved into this one. And then, of course, we are building natively in our platform,
Mm-hmm.
because we think this is the basic building block to enable our customers to not just do, because what's happening is a lot of people are just doing the one prompt testing.
Mm-hmm.
But you want to test all the different scenarios.
permutations,
So how do
yeah.
you basically curate that data set and then do the batch testing and then look at it like, okay, and then make the feedback really easy as you are testing for your end users. And that's what you see, I think, in ChatGPT, thumbs up and thumbs down. Just, I think, the basic example, but super helpful.
No,
yeah.
And those use cases that you come to, those friction points, oftentimes, and I'm looking at it from an entrepreneurial angle,
Yeah.
are great sources of companies that
Mhm.
become standalone concerns over time, like Okta.
Yeah.
That they solved the authentication or single sign-on problem way back when, and then that became a whole standalone company. Are there new opportunities or spaces that you think are not being met right now, that you're coming up against, that you think are emergent opportunities for startups to own, and which spaces do you see?
I would say there's still a lot of gaps when I think about when these systems will run into production at scale.
Yeah.
Let's say surveying 30, 40, 50, 70% of the workload over, let's say, next 18 months. That's my prediction. Then how do you monitor from a few different angles? Security, guardrails, trust. And all of these are then you might see it's like, hey, are we talking about like the typical security and kind of trust definition? Are we talking about red teaming? Or and I think that's where there's opportunities in each of those buckets. Because when you think about just the giving the confidence from that, hey, are we not giving the bias and hallucination response? That itself is, the kind of, the very comprehensive testing, not just like, simple prompt testing.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then you look at what these companies like Datadog or, Splunk and what they have done for your previous version of software stack.
Mm-hmm.
Who is doing it for this
native.
stack? I think there's if you double click on this bucket, there's a lot of opportunities. And then how do you debug the systems? How do you improve? Because here's my one observation. When I say that you can build POCs quickly, your accuracy level will be somewhere around 60%. I'm generalizing it. Right?
Yeah.
So the question is, how do you go from 60 to 70 to 80 to 90?
Yes.
Because it will be a journey, and that's where you need a good eval capabilities and a good monitoring capabilities. And then you tell basically it's like, hey, take a step-by-step approach, open it up for some, certain use cases, look at what edge cases, how people are trying to maybe break the systems, and then build those guardrails, and then, improve your instructions and prompt. And I think that's how you'll go to that.
And is there any tactical advice for people that are building POCs right now that they can do on their own? Or is the takeaway that this is so complex that you really need to be a bigger company to build all these things in from day one, or you have to wait for an emergent player to provide this for you?
No, I think the good news is there are very good open source framework out there, right? So if you look at, I think what LangChain has done, and LLaMA Index, and then that does have all the kind of bits and pieces. So there's a learning curve. So, but you shouldn't feel limited by, hey, if something will be released by these big guys, that's the only your bet. You can start with any of the open source kind of the framework that will take you very far. And then in a few days you can write a couple of scripts, stitch it together, and then that will give you a kind of good starting ground. So I think that's how I see a lot of I think very small 4 or 5 people kind of startup able to build out the products quickly.
And we like to ask this, and it's a bit of a provocative question, so you can choose if there's an answer or not. But is there a hot take that you have on enterprise AI that you think people would find surprising that you see from your vantage point at Salesforce?
Yeah, so I'll give it in 2 parts. One is I'll underscore the same thing that eval is all you need. People, miss that even if they know it. It's super important, and that's when they come back and you lose all this time, right? The second thing is I'm very bullish about agents, what agents are capable of doing. We are, I think, betting big on that. Personally, also, my hot take is, can I build my own PM agent that can do my...
They can do your job.
Yeah.
And have you, and that's a very provocative hot take. Have you started that? And I'm curious, what's the current state of the product?
Yeah, I think that's still far away. I'll give you one recent example that I did last week is I was working on a product proposal. So I just kind of, wrote it through these tools, ChatGPTs, and then I used 3 agents. It's like, hey, you take the role of somebody in the finance, and then review my proposal from that angle. And then you take the role of CPO. And then it was interesting to see how those 3 agents gave their the finance agent was more about the ROI, and then the near term and long term and all that, versus the CPO was more around hey, how it will scale and all that. So it's pretty fascinating.
That is fascinating.
Yeah, and then it gives me quicker. I was able to move very fast. Otherwise, it would have taken me a few more days. I was able to refine my proposal much faster.
And were those 3 independent prompts from 3 different perspectives, or was it a swarm of agents? Did you have them sort of co-creating something?
There's a swarm of agents.
It was a swarm of agents.
Yeah, so I use Anthropic.
Now
you can create your agents in there, and then so it's fascinating. And now you can think about you can pick any role. It's like, hey, in this role, before I go for kind of my product review with everybody else, how can I get reviewed by this? And then it's not perfect, but I think the ideas that it gives you, the same question you do, you will be asked in the review. So now if I can, it gives me thinking point, and I'll refine, and I'll be much more ready.
And if I said there was a startup that lured you out of Salesforce, if I just said, a year from, I'm not saying, obviously I know you love Salesforce, but there was a company that lured you out of Salesforce a year from now, and you had to guess what that company was doing, what type of company would you find so compelling that you would leave Salesforce and join?
Yeah. So I'm glad you asked. So I have these 2 passions. So one is obviously AI. I've been building AI products, and I think that's where I see I'll continue to bring more impact. The second passion I have is around health and wellness.
Yes.
I'm a certified fitness trainer. I train 10,000 people. And I think I see when these agents become much more, let's say, democratized and everything, people will be a lot more stationary, and they will have built out more health problem.
Yeah.
So I think anything at the intersection of that is very interesting to me.
Oh, interesting. So, that does sound really interesting.
Yeah.
And we like to end this. We're trying this with asking people if they want to share a final 6-word takeaway or piece of advice to entrepreneurs that may be going into the AI space.
Yeah.
Is there any piece of advice you want to share in 6 words or less? So that's sort of the challenge.
Sure. So I think first word is speed because it's a game of speed.
Yep.
The second word is, again, I'll repeat eval.
Yep.
Anything that you're building, you keep testing. And then the third word I'll give is monitoring.
Yep.
Fourth word is take care of yourself.
Self-care.
Self-care.
Yes.
And 5 is, of course, the human network, human and AI. Try to see how you can amplify your productivity, everybody else's productivity. And last fifth one is don't worry about anything else. Do best you can.
Do the best you can. That's a good way. That's a good one to end on.
Yeah.
Thank you, Manjeet. That was terrific. Thank
Thanks,
you
Ravi.
so much.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Thank you.
And that's our show. Thanks for listening. Please stay tuned for more discussions as well. You can also check out our website, alchemistaccelerator.com, to learn more about the Alchemist Startup Accelerator program and to get in touch. We'd love to hear from you.